Hello. Happy Wednesday. I am finally healthy, which means we finally get to go through this book of all of the swatches from the Chicago Pen Show. So I swatched both inks that were on the ink swatching table and inks that booths had available to swatch. And so we're going to go through them all. I decided to use a traveler's notebook and this fabulous little stamp from Studio Ghibli for the show with Ranger Archival jet black ink, purely because this is how I swatch at home. And as much as I love the system, it really doesn't work super well on the go. I had the Koala ring dippers at the show for my own ink collection, just so I knew what I had. The Rolodex obviously stayed home, but really this doesn't work when you're on the go at this show. You need a different way to swatch. So lots of people were just writing ink color names, but I don't find that super helpful because you've only got this very tiny block of color. So I decided to go with a stamp that I was going to color in, or use a Q-tip to swab on tables that had bottles available, and it worked quite well actually as a system. So we're gonna go through the book and talk about all the colors. I have not opened this, or I have not opened the color pages since Chicago. So they've sat for almost a month. This is the Traveler's Passport in brown. I like it quite a lot. For Chicago, it actually had 4 books in it because I had just a, is this it? Nope. I had just a plain, no, this is it. I had just a plain dot notebook in it that I was using for notes and nib tests and people I needed to meet with on different days, and inks I still needed to swatch, and like different people would let you test out different pens. So this is, there's still one more interview to come. Most of them came out. The second last one, Cheryl Ball of Rickshaws, came out this morning. There's still one left. And before we filmed, she let me test her music nib that she had just gotten tuned. It was the first time I ever tried a music nib. So I had this in here as well to make for 4 notebooks and a little file folder. Did this close nicely? No. Did it make my life a lot easier? Yes. So I will say that these books can hold way more books than they say they can, as long as you take care of them. I also had used the same leather conditioner that I use on my leather boots, which is a high quality leather conditioner out of Australia, and then just a cream clear coat that you also use on boots, just so that it was protected, and that helped. The spine is still showing its wear, so I'll probably condition it again at some point soon. It's just important to take care of leather products. And even though they don't say anything about, you know, polishing or conditioning them, I always think it's important. So we are going to deband all these books. I started by swatching colors in order. That didn't last very long. So we are going to start with what I think is the first book, though. It is. So the beginning of it was all the colors I had in my own collection, because I wanted to know what my own inks look like on this paper, so that if I was looking at something at the show that I really liked, I already knew how my inks looked on the paper, because inks look different on every paper. There's a huge difference on how it looked on the Traveler's paper versus how it looked on the Endless Regalia paper, which I have a pad of somewhere and I don't know where it is. So these were inks I bought at the show, and then this is the beginning of show inks. So I do really actually like the Colorverse inks, which was an odd discovery for me. I didn't think I was going to like them. I really liked number 7. Colorverse Ultra Dimension was too similar to Sailor Blue Black for me, but it is a very pretty color. I guess we should start with these first ones. Very pretty, very like cool blue black. I really liked it. Bane, similar to Peter Moss in my head from Ferris Wheel Press. Not my least favorite, not my favorite. Colorverse Cat, just not a color I'm going to use. I'm not a fan of blue ink. Electron, not a fan of orange ink. Dimension, oh, is it actually, oh, it's a green. It's a blue-green. Not sure. There's just something about this that I really like. Would I ever actually use it? No. But there's something about it that I like. Colorverse Golden Leaves, again, there's something about it that I like. I think it's the fact that it's a yellow that's legible. So I have a feeling that at some point a bottle of it will be added to my collection. Colorverse Gravity Waves, again, they're sort of like falling into that blue-green, which was very similar to the Fire and Ice by Robert Oster. I do almost wish that all of the inks on the table were sorted by color, because there are lots of them that were a similar color, and it would have been nice to be able to see them all compared to each other. Colorverse Hubble, love. Such a pretty brown. This one, I don't know how to say its name. KSLV 2, still too ballpoint bluey. Ginkgo Tree, I love this color. So pretty. I will say that all the colors on the ink testing table were matte. Some of them sheened. Nothing sheens on this paper. Morningstar, too green. Opportunity, not the right shade of purple for me. Photon and Morningstar were just too similar, and again, not my color. Tasha, I really like the Tasha ink colors. I'm just not a big orange fan, and it was really confusing that this Tasha was just in the middle of nowhere. Saturn V, I really liked. I had just already bought in a blue that show. Sorry, a blue-black that show. Schrodinger, I did think about this box set. I saw it at a couple different booths at the show. I ended up getting the Matter Antimatter box set instead. I'm a big Grace fan. Skeletron, as blacks go, is really pretty. I just don't see the point in buying a black that's not waterproof. Spirit and String, I liked whatever that one was called more. Ginkgo Tree more than String. Warped Passage, still too blue. Colorverse Wisdom of Trees was not actually, so we went a bit off here. The numbers were wrong. It was day 1. Mont Blanc, I love the Mont Blanc inks. I will be adding more Mont Blanc inks to my collection. I think the next one I'll add is probably their Toffee Brown, which was not available to test, but is stunning. So there was Emerald Green, Royal Blue, the Beetle Psychedelic Purple, which is no longer available, and William Shakespeare Violet Red. Andorrhenium Flying Squid Blue was number 1. I will say the Andorrhenium colors had a really nice flow. I just didn't like how they come in the little mason jar bottles. I find them really hard to use. So I did end up getting the show ink in the Andorrhenium bottles, but even though there were other Andorrhenium colors I liked, I didn't end up picking them up. Papier Le Plume Ivy, a stunning green that I think I'll add at some point. Diamine Amber, I just wish it was more like yellow. Ancient Copper, pretty. Apple Glory is very green. It is what it says it is. Autumn Oak, I struggle with for my own personal reasons, but I think if you're into that reddish orange thing. It's probably lovely. Diamine Bilberry? Did I spell blueberry wrong? Who knows? Very pretty. Diamine Blue Black. Very different than Sailor's Blue Black. Where's Sailor Blue Black? I think I could justify both the Diamine Blue Black and the Sailor Blue Black. But the Diamine Blue Black is very similar to Ferris Wheel Press Storade Blue, which probably explains why I love it so much. So, Diamine Brilliant Red, to me does not scream red, it screams hot pink. Diamine Chocolate Brown, a very pretty medium brown. Diamine Claret, I wouldn't call it claret though. Claret is normally redder, especially in paints. Diamine Cult Pens Deep Brown. Really love this color. Sad it was a Cult Pens exclusive because I never order from Cult Pens. Diamine Dark Brown and Diamine Emerald are both pretty colors, just not things that I'd actually use. Diamine Grape. I loved it as a swab. I hated writing with it. Writing with it, it looked almost black, and I was disappointed in that because good purples are hard to find. Diamine Woodland Green was not the green I wanted. Same with Imperial Purple. I'm really picky about my purples, but I'm the same in paints. Diamine Salamander, I really liked, which is no surprise because, where's my favorite green? There's Peter Moss. Like, they're not all that different. I would say Salamander has less yellow to it and is darker, but really, they're not all that different. Diamine Maroon, again, doesn't scream maroon to me. I love Diamine Meadow. I would say that that's probably going to get added to my collection at some point. Diamine Monaco Red, not my favorite. But I did realize why Oxblood has such a cult following, because it is a very pretty dark red. Would I ever write with it? No. I tend to prefer like the more muted pastel-y colors, but it is very pretty. Diamine Royal Blue, I was excited about because it is a blue that's less of a ballpoint blue, royal blue, and so it was pretty. Soft Mint didn't scream mint to me. I was looking for something lighter with the name of Soft Mint. Diamine Turquoise, again, it's more of a sky blue and cerulean than a turquoise. Franklin Christoph Black Cherry, really loved this, did not love how much it smudged. I would say that Franklin Christoph Black Cherry was probably the first smudging ink we had, and I think about half of the Franklin Christoph inks smudged on this paper, and that was with giving things drying time, and that automatically eliminates them from getting added to my collection because I just don't remember that my page is wet. Franklin Christoph Blue did dry, where Chocolate Brown did not, and I would say that the Franklin Christoph Blue does fit into my muted color palette, so it might get added. Urushi Red is very much the red of Urushi, but is not a red that I'd use. Is that Layden or Loden? Who knows? Very pretty dark green, probably my favorite dark green of the show, but again, not something I'd actually use. I'm obsessed. Love it. It's fantastic. And then they're red. I don't know that I was impressed with a single color that was called red on the swatch table. They were all sort of a bit disappointing. So, they just didn't scream red to me. This, or maybe I'm being too mean on them. This is the one true red ink I have. It's Ferris Wheel Press Algonquin Maple. And even in, nope, that's the wrong color. My thing is, even in a swab, it screams, I'm red. Whereas none of the reds that I was swabbing at the show, when they were swabbed, screamed, I'm red, which was hard. So there was book 1. Book 2 was a lot of fun. I loved this purple. It was great. And this was also the first time I tried the Faber-Castell inks. There were lots of new brands that I hadn't tried. The Faber-Castell Deep Sea Green. Faber-Castell inks got a lot of points. They dried fast. They were pretty colors. Lots of people were calling them basic, and I don't see that as being a bad thing. Same with the J. Herbin. I've wanted to buy some, but it's hard to find the little bottles in the colors that I wanted, and so I just hadn't tried them yet. This one will probably be added to my collection. I don't mind the others, but I think this is too similar to stuff I already own, and I don't know that I love Eclat de Saphir. Grey Nuige. Grès Nuige. You'd think for several years of French I'd actually be able to speak French, but I have my moments. I don't know if it's too... No, I could justify it. Cool. And this one. I love that one. I'm realizing I should be marking the ones I love, but I'll do that at a later date. Same with the pinks from J. Herbin. Like, this is just fun. This smudge, so no. This is just an odd color, but I sort of love it because of how odd it is. There's something about this that I'm obsessed with. I don't know what it is, but I love it. I like this too. I like it, but I don't know that I'd use it. I really liked this, but no one at the show was carrying the KWZ inks. Same with their green gold, but I think I could get something similar by mixing those two. And now we're back to Mont Blanc. The turquoise and the amethyst. I don't like either enough to justify having a bottle of them. Monteverde Blue Black doesn't scream blue black to me. It's too black. Monteverde Canyon Rust screams that it's like a rusty color, which I think is great. Copper Noir, I don't see the black in it. That's my criticism, is that I don't see the black in it. Monteverde Garnet and Malibu Blue. If I didn't have similar colors from Ferris Wheel Press, I would be acquiring both because they're very much my color palette. Moonstone and Mulberry Noir. Again, I don't see black, even the black undertone in this. And I think there are browns that are more fun. Apache Sunset from Noodlers is great. It just took forever to dry, and I don't have the patience for that. Same with Noodlers Beaver. I'm gonna have to find something similar to this because I really liked the color. I just don't have the patience to wait for it to dry. And then we're back to J. Herbin briefly for one that I can't pronounce, which I also really liked. It's like this weird, like muted yellow. It totally fits my current color palette. So it's gonna be acquired for the collection. A Noodler's Forest Green. It's the perfect example of why I can't use Noodler's inks. It smudged so badly, and that was probably after giving it 20 minutes to dry, like you can see over here. And I just don't have the patience for a color like that. I guess this was just Schaefer Blue. And, oh yeah, it's the Schaefer Blue Blacks down here. I would say there's not a huge difference between Schaefer Blue and Schaefer Blue Black, and I don't know that I like either. Whereas Schaefer Gray, I think is fantastic. Schaefer Green I don't love. Schaefer King's Gold surprised me because it's sort of fun. As teals go, the P.W. Ackerman ones were really fun. So this is Ferris Wheel Press Bluegrass Velvet. And what I liked about this is that it doesn't have the sort of red sheen that you seem to get in these sort of tealy colors. And I find that really interesting because I don't know that I have one that doesn't sheen red. So that was interesting. Shocking Blue fits my ballpoint blue rule. This is quite an interesting pink. There's one that's very similar to the journal colors. But again, there's Ferris Wheel Press colors and other stuff that I have that's similar. This is probably the most vibrant orange I've ever seen as an ink. I'm sure that there are people that love this color. It's just not for me. Pelican Brilliant Green, again, just not for me. Royal Blue, not totally against, but like, I feel like there are more fun colors. Pelican Violet. What is it with this shade of purple, and why is this the shade of purple that we have decided is the right purple for fountain pens? Because I hate it. Pelican Mandarin. Not my favorite orange. Smoky Quartz. Okay, when I think of quartz, I do not think of a medium to dark brown color, but sure. I already knew that I liked the Pilot. It's the Roshizuku collection. I think so. They're fun, they're great. I have this one, and I never use it because it's ballpoint blue. I absolutely love this one. This one's got a cult following and has been discontinued. And I wish I'd known about it earlier because I really like it. I have similar stuff already. This is a fun green. This is Too Close to Black. I think this could be fun for mixing. This is very blue-black. Pretty orange. Very pretty gray. But I don't know that you're actually still available. I haven't seen you recently. As purples go, more fun than some of the other stuff. Not my favorite pink in the lineup. A pink I quite like from the lineup. Not the right purple. I love Yamabudo. Yamabudo came up, I think, twice as an answer in favorite inks in the 20 questions. And I understand why, because it is such a fun color. Ballpoint blue, I just don't use the color. More fun of a brown. A very pretty pink. I love the Sailor colors. Oh, I did get to swatch it. Okay. This is actually, we're gonna go over this ink again later. Do I have little flags on my desk still? Nope, but I've got a sticky note. Sailor Apricot's lovely, so is Grenade, whatever that one's called. Oh, these are not clear sticky notes. We're just gonna stick one in. Homemade tortilla is lovely. This one's lovely. I don't know which line this is from. It could be from the what's it called? Oh, it used to be called, I'm looking at it on the floor, the Gentle Collection. Or it could be from the menu. But I don't know. This is part of a very specific line from Sailor, and we will go over them because I have the rest of them swatched somewhere else. That's very pretty. Too close to black, ballpoint blue. Interesting, but I'm not sure that I love it. Fun. Sailor Gray. It's basic. I expect more from Sailor when it comes to grays. There are other yellow greens that are pretty. I don't love it. I don't hate it. The Tasha ink surprised me, mostly because I'd never tried them. Tasha's red is probably my favorite red of the show. Ballpoint blue. I already have a blue black I love, but this would probably be the next one I go with. Their brown is quite pretty. I do prefer a more like darker and neutral brown. Their classic blue is a color I almost bought a bottle of. And same with this purple. And light washed, actually. 3 of the 4 colors on this page I nearly bought bottles of. I really liked them. I suspect at some point they will be added to my collection because they're really fun, they're really pretty. The only one I didn't like was this one I've labeled. There's blue black here, and apparently this is a blue black as well. I would call this a like turquoise black, which is pretty, just not something I actually use. This purple was stunning. What I didn't like about this one, as stunning as it was how badly it bled. This green is probably perfect for somebody that likes greens. I just prefer a really yellow green if I'm going to use a green. It's almost too pink for me. I use Pink Eraser and as my pink normally, and so it's just a bit less fluorescent. I think that was my issue, is that the Tasha one's just a little bit too fluorescent. And then we had browns and oranges. Shockingly, I loved this orange. It was my absolute favorite. And so overall, I was just really surprised by the Tasha inks because I knew them as a pen company. I knew they made inks, but I'd never actually gotten to be hands-on with their inks. And so it was great to be at a show where I got to be hands-on with the inks. Oh, this was also fun. This Gerarbon was also lovely. Too orange of a red, and I would rather just use a black. Very pretty. Very pretty. I have a love-hate relationship with the Pannonia inks. I find they tend to feather, but they do make a very pretty ink, and they come in quite large bottles for a very reasonable price. And then we swatched some Andrellium inks. We had Andrellium Octopus, Yellowfinch, Cuttlefish Brown, which I would not call a brown. It was a green. and then Roseate Spoonbill. I think Yellowfinch would be great as a mixing color. This color was an interesting one. So the first swatch was done day 1. The second part of the swatch was done on day 3. So I don't know if that was a pen that had the totally wrong color ink in it and somebody realized, or if that pen had been inked for a year and had been exposed to sunlight, and that's just how it fades, and then halfway through the show they decided to ink it with fresh ink because it was the wrong color, like it had faded. So I left the original writing because I used the correct pen, and this color didn't match anything else I swatched at the show, so I have to assume that this ink just faded in a year in the pen. They were clear pens. It's not impossible, but I did leave it. Not my favorite. Colossal Squid was a pretty color. It's a very dark green. It's just the Andrellium bottles. They are very clearly created for somebody who has no hand issues, and even then I heard from people at the show that they can't open them without making a mess. So it's not just a me thing, and my issue with them is that I have hand issues, and so I just can't open them without spilling ink everywhere. The gray's pretty, the green's pretty. The red is not a true red. This green is probably up somebody's alley if they really like a green. Kingfisher green is great. Again, this purple, I just wish they were true purples. Black Loon, it's almost not black enough. I really liked this, which is no surprise because there's my Daily Blue ink. It's no surprise that I loved Butterfly Blue. Again, the issue was the bottle. If it wasn't for the bottle, I would have spent more money at Andrellium. Because in the end, I spent no money at Andrellium. The brown is lovely. Butterfly Blue, I would call it teal. Lunar Moth Green is lovely. Rosy Moth Pink is lovely. Lovely. And this was the show ink because somebody had it inked up in a pen and they let me try it out. No, somebody didn't have it inked up in a pen. Somebody had a bottle of it, and I had my gloss dip pen on me. And that's how I got to try it out. And then I debated for like 4 days, 3 days, if I was going to buy it or not. 1 book left. So this was everything that I then had to go back. And so Sunday morning, I went back and figured out everything that I'd missed. Saturday night, I went through the books, and so Sunday morning I went back and swatched everything I missed. So Alexandra's Birdwing Butterfly, a very pretty basic green. I suspect this orange has quite a lot of dimension on fancy paper. On this, it was just an interesting orange. Robert Oster's Crimson. Again, I wouldn't call it a crimson. It's just sort of red. It's like a red that doesn't quite know if it's a saturated red or not. Diamine Damson, I believe has been discontinued. Is a very pretty purple though. Diamine Jet Black. It's sort of a black. like even in the writing, it's like not quite sure that it's black. I would not call it jet black. I would call it sort of black. Apparently we had another Andrellium swatch. Maybe it was in a pen by that point. Noodler's green. Very pretty, takes forever to dry. Same with habanero and this purple and the turquoise. All lovely. My issue is that they take forever to dry. Same with all of these. I absolutely love Nightshade and I love red black. I can't justify how long they take to dry because I smudge everything. Yeah, I liked Widowmakers too. It just takes forever to dry. Pelican highlighter ink was something that was on a table to test, and I took advantage of that. I think I forgot to swatch the Pelican ink of the year, I'm realizing. Pelican had a couple different inks and pens, and I'm realizing now that I only swatched their highlighter ink, which is a bit annoying, but what can you do about it now? We are far past the pen show, and so we are going to... This is why I bought it. I looked at it on a page once I'd done this and realized that it probably glowed under blacklight. And so I knew who on the show, at this point I knew who on the show floor had a blacklight. And I went and I asked if I could borrow it, and I tested it, and that's what made me decide to go and buy a bottle. And I ended up getting one of the last bottles at the show. So then we have the Sailor and the Tintoritas inks. These are all a collaboration with a podcast that Sailor does. And what I hadn't realized is that I have all 6 that they've done, because Homemade Tortilla is in here, and so is Spicy Chipotle. So I debated about Blue Agave for such a long time. They're such fun colors. They're limited to 300 bottles. If they'd had Homemade Tortilla, it would have come home with me, but they only had these 4 left. I will leave a link to his information down below, but I think he only sells at pen shows. I might be wrong though. So Homemade Tortilla, and I believe Spicy Chipotle is one of them. It sort of fits with the theme, so we're gonna say it is. So, and then agave, cilantro, blue corn, and refried beans. I love agave though. It's fantastic. And he was kind enough to let me swatch them out of my swatch book and use them in this video. So they're all really pretty colors, and they're Sailor inks, so they're just lovely. And then Amarillo Stationery let me swatch out everything they had on their table. So all of these, yes, everything from now on is from Amarillo Stationery, and I believe all of them are he imports from Mexico, and they are so much fun. I am in love with this. I'm in love with this. They're so much fun. They're such nice colors. Some of them have some shimmer going on in them. Some of them are just like happily matte, and they're so much fun. I will say a couple of them were smudgy, like this green, but then some of them, like these two, were really fast drying. So I think if you're careful, it's definitely possible to write with them. And they're just so pretty. I love these two. These two are definitely my favorite in the collection. And he also has some special edition inks with Pannonia, but I didn't end up swatching those at the show. So there are all of the Chicago Pen Show inks. It's over 220 inks. I want to say it's closer to 230, 240 inks that I swatched at the show. There were probably some that I missed at people's booths, but it was definitely a lot of fun, and I love having a reference for all the colors because sometimes when you're shopping you want to know what things actually look like in person. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know what your favorite ink is that I swatched, or let me know if I missed your favorite ink at the show and what I should swatch next time at the show, because I think I'll definitely do this again at the next show. It was so much fun and I really enjoyed it. So thanks for watching.